Lori Flaquette of Soltar Solutions, and today I'm here on Focus Forward with a good friend of mine, Robert MacPhee. I met Robert in August at the Breakthrough to Success, which was a Jack Canfield training, which was phenomenal. And Robert was in charge of all the assistants. He did a brilliant job. He got up there, and he was just phenomenal, just phenomenal. So Robert, thanks so much for being on the show today.
I'm thrilled to be here. I appreciate the invitation. Looking forward to diving into this.
So one of the things that we're here to talk about today is Robert's book, it's absolutely phenomenal. It's Manifesting for Non-Gurus. And all the books that I read about goal setting and about motivation and inspiration, this book gave me information that I have never seen anywhere. Diagrams that made everything just so easy to understand that I said, well, I've got to get Robert on the show to help entrepreneurs to figure out how they can move forward in their life through manifesting. So Robert, tell us about manifesting.
Well, I'm going to back up just a little bit, and I appreciate, you're holding the book up and you're showing it in that kind of that sideways view and pointing out to people that it really is a short, simple book. And I really appreciate hearing people talk about the book in the way that you were talking about it, because that's exactly how it was intended to be presented. It's intended to be a very simple book, a very easy book to read, and yet very implementable and very practical. So I think the greatest compliment I ever received about the book was the fact that it's a distillation of so much of the work that's already out there. You mentioned that I work with Jack Canfield. I was the director of training for his organization and co-facilitated with Jack and developed some programs with him. And my work really emerged from my work with Jack. And my intention was to take his work, which is so broad and so deep. Having worked with Jack in a couple of different environments, his depth of knowledge is so incredible, but sometimes it's a little overwhelming for people. So my decision was to take on the role of being that person who could distill it down to the simplest principles, the parts that we could really take hold of and take action with right away, and make myself the person who really helps people put these principles into action and start seeing real results. And that's where it really connects to the entrepreneurs that you're dealing with, because I love dealing with entrepreneurs because they're people who are responsible for their own results, right? I mean, all the people you're dealing with, no one's looking over their shoulder telling them what to do. They're responsible for their own results, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you say that this book is a distillation of many things that you've read and many things that... But there are things in there that I've never seen anywhere. There's connections that are being made that really... You know what I learned from this book? I learned about feeling. Because I was going through the writing of my goals every day, every morning and every night, and the visualizing and all these different things. You know what it's like. I mean, it could be like
Absolutely.
4 hours a day if you let it. I mean, it could be the whole day. You know what I mean? So I was going through all of those things. But then when I got your book and you were talking about the feeling of it, I was like, there it is. That's the piece. So since I started working with your material, which has only been a few weeks, I feel different. I see a huge difference. And I'm like, this information has to get out. It has to get out. So
well, and that feeling piece really is one that people skip over. I teach a 5-step approach. That feeling step is right in the middle of it. Whenever I teach that piece, I encourage people to remember that it's the simplest piece, it's the easiest piece, but it's also the easiest one to overlook, and it's the easiest one to skip over. But when people are doing their visualization and their affirmation and all that kind of work, if we don't really connect into the heart, if we don't connect to the feeling and emotional side of it, oftentimes we're not only not going to get the results we want, but we may be actually sending out a message, sending out a vibration that's requesting a different result based on the feelings and emotions we are experiencing. And again, this emerged from having worked with Jack and other people in the industry and consistently seeing people who would come up to me, and it was really interesting. I love to tell the story. They come up to me, and they've got a pocket full of 3x5 cards, right? And they've got their affirmations all written down, and they come up to me and they say, I write down my affirmations, I do my visualization, I read my cards every single day, I know what my goals are, and I'm doing my work, and the results aren't showing up, and I want to know why. What's wrong? What am I doing wrong? And I would listen to this person and think, what is the feeling and emotion that they're experiencing as they're talking to me? And what I would hear is I would hear stress and anxiety and fear and worry. And to me, what that's like is it's like sending a message to the universe saying, send me more fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, all of those things, when in fact, that's not at all what they want. Their goal might be to earn more money because the money will allow them to be calm and peaceful and relaxed and really excited and have fun and make a difference in the world. But that's not the feeling and emotional experience they're having around their goals. So that simple question, how will I feel? And those couple of minutes of pausing each day and making sure that we experience the feelings and emotions that we really want to experience makes all the difference in the world. And it's funny because you're sharing this and you said, you've only been working with the material for a couple of weeks. I'm currently hosting an 8-week teleseminar and I'm already getting messages from participants saying, I already feel the difference. And honestly, I do think it's that question, how will I feel, that can just catapult people into a different experience right out of the gate.
Well, that was one of the things that I felt right away, the difference. I mean, it was like, okay, you can visualize, you're visualizing your goal and you're doing these things. But then when you say in the book, this is the reason why you need to feel it. So you start to feel it and it totally changes your whole philosophy on getting it. Because when you feel it, sometimes you feel like it's there, and then it takes it away from the never, and it brings it into right now. So it's not like you're only moving towards your goal. It feels like your goal is moving towards you, and it's gonna hit. So it really does change it. The other thing that I found really interesting in the book, this is absolutely one of the most important things. The universe does not understand money. Doesn't understand it. So when people are talking about their goals and what they want to do and this and that, and then they back up 3 steps and say, but I can't afford that. I don't have the money for that. That costs too much money. And you're saying the universe doesn't understand money. And I'm saying, that's it exactly. The universe doesn't understand money. It understands
it's a concept that's been made up. I mean, money is a way of measuring the results that are showing up in our lives. It's a way of measuring the value that we deliver to the marketplace. And it's a way for us to express back into the marketplace what's really important to us. Robert Scheinfeld taught me, which is that all money really is appreciation. He told me, if you were out to dinner and you had a fabulous meal and the service was incredible, but there was no such thing as money, what would you do? And I just realized immediately what I would do is appreciate. I would say thank you. I would want to go and talk to the chef and express my gratitude and appreciation and tell him or her how fabulous the meal was. I would just appreciate and appreciate and appreciate. And that is really all that money is it's a way to measure the value that we're putting out into the marketplace, and it's a way for us to appreciate the value that we're receiving. So when we talk about manifesting, when we talk about attracting the kind of results and the kind of experience that we really want to be having in our lives, sometimes people want to manifest money. But money is just a way of measuring what we're really manifesting, which is either the support or the assistance or the ideas or the resources that can help us create the results that we want, or it's a way of measuring value that we're delivering to the marketplace. This whole game of manifesting is all about giving and receiving. It's about a flow of energy. And when we're delivering value, when we're putting that out, and then we're going to be receiving in return, that may show up looking like money, but really the money is just a way of measuring the deeper experience that we're really receiving. And it goes back to the feeling, because we see people who want to, earn twice as much money, and we talk about how that will make them feel. And they say, well, it will make me experience more joy in my life. Well, 6 months later, if I come back to that person and I say, are you experiencing more joy in your life? And they say, oh, yes, I have so much more joy in my life. And I say, well, did you double your income? And they look at their bank statement and say, well, no, my income came up a little bit, but I never really did double my income. But they're not disappointed because they're getting what they really wanted, which was to experience more joy. And it may come partially or fully from the things related to the money, but it isn't about the money. And the universe, this law of attraction, this vibrating out the feeling and emotion we want to be experiencing, really isn't directly connected to money. The money is just a way of measuring what's going on.
Well, I love the concept of that. The next thing that I think is so important is if we looked at money as appreciation and not as the enemy, because we don't have enough of it, then we could really bring these things together in such a way that we could have what we want, not be constantly stressed about money, circumvent the money, and manifest the thing in our life, concentrate on manifesting the thing and the joy that that thing, that whatever that is going to bring. We've covered the full gamut, and we've circumvented the I don't have money for that.
Right,
which
absolutely. And
robs all the joy from everything.
Right. And you're talking about one of the areas that we get ourselves stuck, that people do have these feelings and emotions around money and these beliefs and thoughts around money that are not supporting us. In my work, we call that attachments. People are spending their time and their attention on the fear and the doubt and the worry and the feeling of lack and not enough around money. That's not helping them to attract either the results or the experience that they want to be having in their life. And my work, I believe, is all about increasing awareness for people, bringing these kinds of things that we're talking about today into their awareness, and allowing people to make different choices. That once you become aware that you're worried about money all the time, wouldn't it be great to make a choice to look at money differently? So when we increase our awareness, we get the ability to then make different choices. And it really does. It keeps coming back to these feelings and emotions and getting unstuck. These points that you're talking about, there's a great example that you brought up about, thinking about money and worrying about money and being in that state of lack and not enough. And it's not helping people. It's an attachment that's getting in our way. And when we learn, first of all, to be more aware of those attachments, and second of all, how to let go of those attachments, we can more quickly and easily get into action. We can take what we call in our work inspired action. And this manifesting work is not magical. It's not woo-woo. It's not we sit on our couch and meditate and light just the right number of candles and put on the right music and all of a sudden the results come magically to us. It's really a case of getting out and taking action and getting fully engaged in our life and making things happen. But I believe doing it in a very different way. We see people who get out there and they set goals and take action. And they're using willpower and they're using hard work and lots of effort and nose to the grindstone. And they're not having the experience of life that they want to be having. How many people do we know who are making a lot of money, but they're miserable? Or they're in perfect health, but they're just not happy. And they're in that place of never enough, never enough. So we work with people to get people really clear on what's most important to them, to get the obstacles out of the way, and then to get into action in a very different way, from a place of clarity about who we really are and what's most important to us, and from a place of connection to those feelings that we talked about, and also having let go of the attachments that get in our way. Then we take action in a very, very different way.
So one of the things that I love so much about, well, first of all, I love the book. I absolutely love the book. It's a phenomenal book. It takes complicated principles and it makes them simple and easy to use. That's one of the things. But this, I think, is phenomenal. The little daily journal that we use, that we fill out, because this helps us track our success. Not only are we solidifying it on a daily basis, what we're looking for, what we want, but it also helps us to look back 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, and we see how far we've come, which then increases the joy. Phenomenal. So I love this. This has been phenomenal for me. So, and those two products, they're easy, they're simple, they're well defined, takes all the mystery out of it, and they're inexpensive. So a lot of people spend all this money doing this, doing that, doing the other thing, and it doesn't work, because I think what goes on is they externalize what they're doing as opposed to internalizing. And these tools allow you to internalize, which I think is just absolutely the quickest way to get what you want. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is the prosperity game, because I've played the prosperity game twice, and that prosperity game is absolutely, it just makes things so clear. And it understands where our hurdle is. It helps us understand where our hurdle is while we're exercising the muscle of the money. So tell us about that.
Well, if you don't mind, I want to back up just a little bit. I appreciate you talking about the journal a little bit. And the journal really did emerge as I was writing the book. I was halfway through writing the book, and it felt divinely guided. I mean, it literally felt like a download for me that I was receiving this information. It felt so important to share, but not just to share, but to make sure people implement. This work to me is not just about sharing information, it's really about changing people's lives. And it was very important to me to have a very specific mechanism in place where people could take the information and implement it right away. And that's where the journal started. It's kind of an interesting story because I was halfway through writing the book and I paused to write the journal. I created the first journal by just publishing it at Kinko's and sharing it with some people that I knew and asking them to share their experience of using it. And I started working with people on the journal and they were loving it. And then I created a teleseminar based on that experience. And then I did a live event. And all of a sudden I went, wait a minute, I never finished that book. I've got to go back and finish the book. So I circled back. But the journal really is designed to be used exactly as you described, as a way to take the content, the information, the concepts and principles, and implement them on a daily basis. And I loved what you said about setting a benchmark, that when you're journaling and tracking this, you have the opportunity to go back and see how far we've come. Because so often we see what's still yet to be done, and we forget how much we've already accomplished. And when we focus on what we've already accomplished, that can be great fuel to keep us going and keep us motivated and keep us inspired. And as far as the prosperity game, yeah, that's a game that I've played in live seminar environments, and we recently set it up to be able to play in an online environment that allowed us to do it with larger groups of people. It's a very simple game where we have people each day receive a virtual check, and we email that check to them, and we ask them to go to a Facebook page and answer two simple questions. The first question is, where did the money come from? And then the second question is, what are you going to do with it? And the amount of the checks double every day for 2 weeks. So we start with a check for a couple $100s, and then every day for 2 weeks, the amount of the check doubles. And without giving away the punchline, the amounts of money get pretty big at the end of 2 weeks. And what it does is it allows all of us to face our limitations, our self-imposed limitations around money. Because when a check for a couple $100s shows up, that's not really going to throw too many people off. But when it gets into thousands of dollars and tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you've got this check showing up, and you need to decide what happened in my life? What did I do, or what happened that led to me receiving this check? And then what would I do with it? It expands our awareness around money. Because most of us are living in a box of sorts that says, this is the world I live in with money. These are my limitations. This is how much money I make. This is how I spend it. And when we take that box from this size and make it, this size, all of a sudden we have to think differently. And it's amazing to observe the breakthroughs that happen for people, the possibilities that people open up to, which is, I think, my favorite thing about the prosperity game. Because as I look at my purpose and the purpose of my work, so much of it is about opening people up to new possibilities. And the prosperity game is one of the greatest ways to do that, because all of a sudden, if your debts were all paid and you didn't have any of the worries that might be wrapping you up about money, and you could really choose what to do with large quantities of money, it's amazing to see the difference that people can make in the world, the way they show up differently. So I'm glad you had that great experience. We do it every couple of months. And yeah, if people want to participate, we're easy to find on Facebook. If you just search for the Prosperity Game or search for me, you'll find the Prosperity Game. And it's free. We just use it as a way to get people familiar with the kind of work that we do and introduce themselves to me and my work. And it really is a phenomenal way to explore what our self-imposed limitations around money are. Plus, as you said, it's a lot of fun. I mean, when you had a couple hundred people playing and interacting with each other on Facebook and sharing and encouraging each other and kind of sharing each other's ideas, it's been a lot of fun to do as well.
Well, what I found really interesting is people around me are winning the money, they're inheriting the money from an aunt that they never knew. You know, they're getting all this money, and I just keep working for the money. And finally, I'm to the point of going, why am I always working for the money? How come they're winning the money? It's like, hello, it's about me, because, you know, it's just my mindset. So the second time I played it, I really focused on trying to get money that I didn't work for, which was something that, you know, is a challenge. Because if we're used to, if we grew up hearing, you have to work hard to make money. So that's this limiting belief in our mind. That limiting belief became right in front of my face with that game. That was very interesting. And the other thing I've noticed, I noticed that some people in that group have taken those ideas that were, you know, maybe fantasies or dreams or whatever, and now they have businesses with those. I mean, that is phenomenal. And I don't know, maybe they would have come up with those ideas, but probably not as quickly as they came up with those ideas, because they saw it, they saw the possibility through the game. I mean, it was fabulous.
And that's really, I appreciate you saying that again, because that's really the intention of this work. I mean, the subtitle of the book, it's Manifesting for Non-Gurus, How to Quickly and Easily Attract Results. And, you know, these things don't happen overnight, but playing a game like that, or reading a book like this, or using our journal, you know, participating in this work and increasing your awareness does open you up to new possibilities. And it does allow you to accelerate your results. There's no question about it. We see it over and over again for people who actually use the principles. You know, if we buy the book, my good friend Jim Bunch calls it shelf help. You know, if you buy the book and stick it on the shelf, but you never read it, that's not going to do it. But if you buy the book, you read the book, you use the journal, you get on the calls, you play the prosperity game, you have a coach, whatever it is, that's when things start to really, really accelerate. And I had a similar experience in the prosperity game to what you described, where I come from a background where it's, you know, you work for the money and you do a certain amount of work and you get a certain amount of money. And if you work harder, you make more money. And the game really opened me up to the possibility that money and abundance can flow into my life simply for being who I am. Not as much for what I do, but for being who I am. And that was a completely foreign concept to me. And what's happened to me, I have the you know, good fortune to be the facilitator of the game and to play repeatedly. Whenever I facilitate it, I play along with the group just as if I'd never played it before. And what happens now is the two come together. It's not like two separate things. The two really come together. And what I find myself doing is approaching the game, and I believe approaching my life more from the point of view of being who I really am and allowing what I do to come from that place, and allowing the abundance and the wealth and the joy and the experience that I want to have to come from that combination. But the game woke me up to the fact that I was doing it the opposite way before. I was doing what I do with the expectation of attracting the wealth that would allow me to be what I wanted to be. And when I flipped that around and I started with being who I really am, being my true and authentic self, doing what I do from that point of view and allowing the wealth and abundance to flow from there, that's what really made a difference for me.
Well, I could see the, not only feel the change in myself, but I could see the change in the group, because you could see what people are posting on Facebook. You saw those ahas come up. Oh, I had this really great idea. I really realized this about myself, because there's very little chance of being able to really stand back and look at your values and your beliefs about money. This gives you a really a wide open opportunity to not only see yourself, but see the people, those people around you, and to understand it. And then that phone call really solidified it, because when you end in that with the game with that phone call, and you spend a few hours talking to people and everybody's chiming in, it really solidifies. And you, not only do you really get what it is that you learn, but it opens you up to what everyone else learned. Which
And the prosperity game is really, it's an environment. It's a very powerful environment, and just as you were talking about with my book, and I love simplicity. I'm a big believer in the power of simplicity. Both my book and the prosperity game are very simple environments. The game is simple. You get a check every day, you answer 2 simple questions. But there's a couple of things about the environment that make it even more powerful than just receiving that check and answering those questions. Because first of all, you're doing it in a group. You mentioned several times, observing and interacting with the people in the group, seeing what other people are doing, learning from their lessons, looking at it from their point of view, noticing what they're doing differently than what you're doing, really accelerates what you learn from that simple interaction. The other thing is when we do something like that over a period of time, if I were to just send you a check, this imaginary check today, I send you a check for $1,000 and you answer those 2 questions. It becomes kind of a blip on the radar, and it's an interesting experience, but by tomorrow you've forgotten about it. But when you have a 2-week period of time and you have the checks arriving every single day and you answer the question every day for 2 weeks, the learning gets accelerated and deepened significantly. There's something about doing the work over a period of time and doing it in a group environment that makes a huge difference. One of the other things that I do a lot with my professional time is I facilitate high-level mastermind groups. And when we have people in these groups who are willing to make the commitment, again, to an environment, to a group of people, and to meeting on a consistent basis with that group, they get very different results than people who go to a seminar for one time and then they think they're done. So over a period of time and with a group can make a huge, huge difference, and that's part of the power of the prosperity game.
So unfortunately, our time for today is gone. It felt like 2 minutes, but it was quite long. So what I wanted to say is thank you so much for appearing today on Focus Forward. And hopefully you'll come back again soon because there are so many things I want to talk to you about, Robert. Thank you so much.
Hey there, I'm Robert Dempsey with your Tips from the Net. And today I just want to talk to you real quick about mobile optimizing your website. Now, when you are creating a mobile optimized website, what you don't want to do is literally take exactly what you have on your main website and just put it into a mobile format. And the reason for that is because the experience on a mobile phone is completely different than the experience that someone has when they're browsing your website on a PC or a Mac. So what you want to do is you just want to keep the most relevant information there. So if you have a local business like a brick and mortar place, you want definitely, no matter what, really, here's what you need. Click to call. So literally they can tap a button and they can call your business. So you got to have your phone number on there, have your location on there, a little bit about you. If you're running any specials with your business, absolutely put those on there as well. And then some biographical information. Now, if you also sell products, you want to have a small catalog on there too. But if you're a bigger retailer, that's when you go all out and get your own app. Until then, mobile optimized site with the content tailored just for that mobile device, that is what you want to go for. So that's it for today from Tips to the Net, and I'll see you next time.